Phil coming back at you with another video. Today, I'm back. I'm excited. I'm pumped up. Hopefully, everyone's doing well, practicing self-care, not letting one thought, one situation, one person take them outside of what they know to be true. And I know exactly 42 people did just that. They built themselves up, did not let one thought, one situation, one person take them outside of what they know to be true. They doubled down. They pushed past all their anxiety and their stress and pressures in their previous exam attempts. And then when the exam kicked it directly in the chest to get the job done, because that's how many people winning the exam kicked it directly in the chest to got the job done since my last video. So 42 people repping and rocking with the Fill in the Gaps community, doubled down, did not let anything get them outside of what they know to be true, and they killed it. They killed it. And they are as follows: Nicole M, Visoya A, Shauna C, Tamara N, Kelsey C, Savannah P, Lindsay C, Lori H, Brittany E, Rachel G, Raina S, Ojicha O, Fariel S, Patrick J, Ivory F, QW, Allison W, Jacqueline C, Amy R, Tabitha R, Natasha S, MH, Sharita J, Tiffany S, Martha CM, Emily E, Shauna F, Elena R, Kirsten D, Joy F, Haley M, Danny C, Roger W, Shauna P, Lydia B, Kimberly D, Teason J, Sarah F, Victoria P, Stephanie M, Marley G, and Shelby W. And I'm so excited, man, because like I said, so many people on that list were doubting themselves, not even wanting to take their test, and they were wanting to give up on social work in general. And I know a lot of you can resonate with that, so my push is to not let anything ever stop you, because as long as you make the decision today, you can get to the exam because you're the closest that you've ever been. If you've been repping and rocking with me, if you also went in the exam, kicked it directly in the chest, and got the job done, you can send me an email at berda24@gmail.com. And if you want to rep and rock with me as well, the easiest way to do that is to attend the Sunday study groups that I have, because it allows for you to rep and rock with me, get exposure to the strategies and techniques that I recommend, as well as not memorizing anything, but being able to recognize and apply it to go in the exam, kick it directly in the chest to get the job done. The next Sunday study groups are as follows: 12-4 practice questions, so going over the different types of practice questions that you can see, going over different myths that people typically share about the exam, as well as the tips that I find most helpful for people to keep in mind as they go in the exam, kick it directly in the chest to get the job done, as well as going over the 6-step process that I recommend every single person to utilize as they're breaking down questions, and then tying it all together with 15 practice questions. The next one after that is 12-11, research, program development, and evaluation. So going over different types of research, different concepts related to research, the different steps of program development, the different types of program evaluation, validity versus reliability, and then going over practice questions related to those. The next one after that is 12-18, acronym and practice questions. So going over the acronym: safety, feelings, assess, refer, educate, advocate, facilitate, and intervene. Going over different myths that people typically spread about the exam, the different types of questions that you can see on the exam, the 6-step process that I recommend every single person to keep in mind as they go into the exam, kick it directly in the chest to get the job done, and then going over 10 practice questions. And as I always say, do not come into any of the practice question sessions expecting to get them all right. Not that I don't think that you're gifted and talented in your own right, but the questions that I construct are typically more difficult than the ones on the actual exam, and people are typically surprised when they come into my sessions, get their butt kicked, and then they go in the exam and destroyed, because the purpose is not for me to hate you, not for me to make you feel terrible, but for me to have you actually understand, not template, not take any shortcuts, not have any of those different strategies and techniques, but actually understanding, digging down and doing the next right thing. So do not come into any of my sessions expecting to get them all right. If you do, my purpose is not for you to get them right versus get them wrong, but to understand why, because the only thing that you can take in with you into the exam is the strategies, techniques, and the reasons why for the correct answers, to give yourself a better likelihood versus having a backpack full of answers. And all of the Sunday study groups are paid study groups from 7 p.m. Eastern time until they kick us out. They can't kick us out. I'm the host, and I don't really have an end time for those sessions because they tend to go longer than I actually said that they're going to be. They typically are somewhere between 4, 5, sometimes 6 hours long, depending on the topic. And if you want any information related to those, send me an email at berda24@gmail.com, or click the link down below in the description, which is the view more, under the title, and it'll have my calendar and all the different things and ways that you can rep and rock with me as well. I do offer individual tutoring as well, and my schedule typically books out 2 to 3 weeks in advance. So if you're trying to get in, please be mindful about the timing. But if you're like, Phil, I'm a little late, but I still want to have an opportunity to meet with you and rep and rock with you as well, you can send me an email at berda 24@gmail.com, and I'll put you on the tutoring waiting list. And if anyone cancels, I will reach out to you and try to get you in as much as I possibly can. But with the holidays and everything, it tends to be crazy. So keep in mind, because I don't like turning people away. As well as the next one-day course is going to be this Saturday, 12/3 from 11 a.m. Eastern time until they kick us out. They can't kick us out. I'm the host. The one-day course has been the most successful thing that I've ever done. Why? Because it gives you the most amount of time with you repping and rock with me. I can give you as many strategies and techniques as I possibly can. I'm going to be breaking down different topics as well as going through practice questions. And the one-day course practice questions tend to be more difficult than any of the practice questions that I provide you guys. Why? Because it's the most amount of investment that you guys are making. Plus, I want to make sure that the one-day course is something that you have memorable within your mind, either positive and or negative. So the one-day course is, again, this Saturday, 12/3 from 11 a.m. Eastern time until they kick us out. You don't have to stay the entire time because the session is going to be recorded, similar to the Sunday study groups. So if you're not able to stay the entire time, you can watch the recording at your own leisure. And the one-day course is the tips that I found most helpful for people to keep in mind as they go in the exam, kick it directly on the chest to get the job done. The most common reasons why people fail, because what better reason and way to learn from what not to do in the exam is by people that have not been successful on the exam, as well as breaking down a handful of topics: subpoena versus court order, operant conditioning. We'll be going over the personality disorders, schizophrenia spectrum, bipolar 1 versus bipolar 2 disorder, the medications, the acronym, the 6-step process that I recommend people to keep in mind as they go in the exam, kick it directly in the chest to get the job done, and then tying it all together with 25 practice questions. And again, if you're not able to attend the session live, or if you're not able to stay the entire time, that's 100% okay, because when you register, add your name to the email list to receive the email after the session, and you'll be able to watch it at your own leisure as many times as you particularly would like to. And if your exam is prior to 12/3 and you want to get the previously recorded version, it's 100% possible. You can send me an email at berda24@gmail.com. As well as for those that do not know, Audible's continue to partner with me on my YouTube videos and my podcast. So if you want to support me as well as support them, go to my Audible affiliate link at www.audibletrial.com/fill-in-the-gaps. Sign up for the 30-day free trial. It's the easiest way that you can support me. It costs you absolutely nothing. And for those that are curious, Audible's an easy way for you to get information on the go. So if you're busy just like me, or you learn based on hearing because reading a book's not your jazz, well, Audible's an easy way for you to get information on the go to become the best possible version of yourself. So again, if you want to support me as well as support them, go to my Audible affiliate link at www.audibletrial.com/fill-in-the-gaps. Sign up for the 30-day free trial. Get yourself a free book. And there are a couple of books that I would recommend if you're thinking about signing up for the 30-day free trial. And they are as follows: You, The Alchemist, The Archer, and Traumatized. Each of them have lessons not just to help you progress professionally, but personally to become the best possible version of yourself. And I know a lot of these books have impacted me and have helped me reset my mind when I'm not understanding what I should be doing or where I should be going, because at the end of the day, we're all trying to become the best possible versions of ourselves, regardless of where we're at in our process. We're all humans and trying to become the best possible version that we can. And I appreciate every single person that has already registered for the Audible free trial. As well as, if you haven't already, do me a favor, hit the like button down below. It's thumbs up button down by the title, because it helps amazing social workers just like you find my videos as well. And if you haven't already, comment something down below that you're working on, something that's positive in your life, or if you've gone on the exam, kicked it directly in the chest and you just want to let me know, please do that, because I read every single comment and I know other people are finding benefit from the comments as well. And if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button down below, hit the bell notification next to it, because it allows for you to receive an email every single time that I upload a video, because you don't want to miss anything, because there's going to be free study groups coming up and all these different things. And I'm trying to pack as much as I can with the holidays and everything, because I love every single one of you guys. I want to make sure that you guys can all benefit and rep and rock as well. And if you haven't already, look up my podcast on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, and Spotify at Fill in the Gaps, because I've been regularly putting things up on that podcast as well. So those are different resources that you can rep and rock with as well. And from the bottom of my heart, I appreciate every single one of you guys. Again, hope to see you guys in the Sunday study groups, the individual tutoring sessions, the one-day course, as well as, if you haven't already, sign up for the Audible free trial and subscribe to my channel. And again, this is going to be a video that I haven't really done in a long time, and I'm going to kind of free throw some thoughts that I've had going through my mind. And I know some people are like, man, we just want all these different things. But for those that are rocking with me heavy, these are some thoughts that I've been having going on in my mind. And I haven't done a video like this in a decent amount of time, of where I just kind of tie a lot of things together and kind of discuss what people have been talking about in individual tutoring, as well as just things that are going on personally. And the biggest thing that I'm going to recommend here is reflect on where you're at right now and identify what is going on. Because in order for you to have any type of growth in your life or any type of introspection or any type of progress or even giving yourself credit, you must identify where you're at. And a lot of us as social workers, we kind of escape from where we're at and try to be in a different reality. And what I mean by that is, if you're doing individual practice or at any capacity you're a student, you're going through something because you're a human. You have friends, you have connections, you have supports, you may have clients, you may have goals, you may have aspirations. But as a professional or as a social worker in general, or just a human, we oftentimes lose sight of where we want to go, but it's not all the time. And what I mean by that is you may have a goal that you want to pass. Maybe it's just getting your licensure, maybe it's getting your degree, maybe it's getting whatever goal in your life. But if you don't identify where you're at, it's hard to identify if you're making any progress. Even incremental progress is still progress nonetheless. But a lot of times what we think about is the big picture of like, man, I want to get licensed. And if you've not been successful in your exam, you may say like, you know what, it's all or nothing. I'm not gotten any better. Maybe your score's decreased, or maybe you're doing more and it didn't pay off, all these different things. But if you don't recognize where you're at and who you actually are, it's hard for you to identify the incremental progress or even any progress at all, or even regression, because you may feel like you're doing a ton, putting in a lot of hours and putting a lot of things out there, but you may not realize that you're actually regressing and going back to a previous stage of your situation. And why us as social workers typically want to escape situations is because it's difficult for us to say that we're not where we want to be, or that we're not seeing the progress in other people that we want to see, or we're not making the impact that we think that we should be making with and for our situation. And what this typically is going to require, if you're feeling stuck or if you're feeling unmotivated or you're feeling like you're not where you want to be, it's going to require that you have a breakthrough. And again, that's kind of like a large concept of like, yeah, of course I need a breakthrough to break out of all these different things. But if you look at the name of like breakthrough, you separate it apart, literally just break it apart. The word break is just meaning to sever or to shatter or to deconstruct. So in order for you to have a breakthrough, you must break away from who you thought that you would be. You must break away from what you particularly want to be doing at this given moment and embrace where you're at. Because in order for you to become something that you're not right now, or for you to give yourself credit for things that you've already done, you must break out of what you are already doing or what you're doing right now or the way that you're thinking. And what that's going to require is for you to let go of where you thought that you would be, or let go of some of those old thoughts that are not serving you anymore, or get away from people that are not actually pouring back into you at this given moment. So that's where, again, breakthrough is you must break away from who you thought that you would be. You must deconstruct who you actually are right now. And you must go through what you're going through right now and get to where you actually need to be going. Because it may not be the most comfortable situation. It may not be the most pleasurable situation. It may not feel the best where you're at right now, but you must go through what you're going through right now in order to get to where you want to go. It's like if you're stuck in traffic, most people when they're stuck in traffic, they're ticked off. They're like, beep, beep. They're like, ah! They're like losing their minds. They're like, ah! But if you've ever been in a car accident, or if you've ever been in a situation on the road where it is very precarious, you might be cool as a clam. So I've been in multiple car accidents in my day, not by my own motivation or being like, all right, I'm going to do this today. Somebody crashes into me. So for when I'm in traffic, I'm thinking, man, if there's a crash up there, hopefully the person is A-okay. Or if I'm going through traffic, I'm like, man, I might be getting saved from something right now that I don't even know. Maybe me being 10 minutes behind is preventing me from being in a car accident that could take my life away. Or man, me rushing or doing all these different things or blinding myself and escaping the situation is actually robbing me from the things that I need to be getting from this right now. So you have to identify where you're at, break away from where you thought that you would be, break the mold of what you thought that you were capable of, break away from the thoughts that are dragging you down and saying you ain't doing enough, and go through what you need to go through and get a new identity, but get a new thought process. And what I mean by that is because every decision that we make has been created by somebody that we've been rapping and rocking with, somebody that has been influencing us, or something that we created by ourselves. But at the end of the day, just like our cell phones, if you ain't looking for the updates, guess what? Life ain't gonna about to ping you and be like, boop, you need a software update. But if you're not trying to update your mind, you're not trying to update your situation, you're not trying to update your goals, you're not trying to update your reference point, what you're really doing is solidifying that this is the maximum capacity that you can get. So if you went in the exam and failed, you're like, man, it's never going to happen for me. But do you have a crystal ball? Do you have a time clock? Do you have all these magical powers that's like, yep, this is never going to happen for me? So you're telling me that your heartbeat's going to stop right now and you're never going to get another opportunity. The ASWB is going to literally look you in the face and say, yep, you're done. We're never going to let you take the test again. That's not the truth. But it may feel like that. So that's where, again, you have to break away from what you're experiencing right now and have a deeper vision of where you want to go. Because you may not be successful at this given moment, but you've never been in a moment where it was just smooth sailing. If you're at this point in life, you probably weren't just cruising through life, just like, woo, it's great out here. You've been through things. But the problem is, if you've been through situations that were tough and harsh and that you don't often think about, you oftentimes forget the lessons and blessings that came from those situations. And that's why I always say it's the people that have gone through the most situations that have the most lessons. It's the people that have gone through things, not given up, that are very reluctant to give up when things get tough. It's oftentimes the people that are like, man, I'm willing to take this test 12 times. And people hear that and say, man, that person's out of their mind. But the person that thinks the person's out of their mind didn't have the reference point of the person that is willing to take 12 times, because the person that's willing to do it 12 times has probably done things 12 times for a decent amount of situations in their life, but they're not telling themselves it's going to take 12, but they have the belief and faith in themselves that they don't have the control and the power in every situation, so they're willing to go through whatever they need to go through in order to get to the other side, because they know the other side is going to be more appreciated and more of a gift and a lesson and blessing, because they value the doggone thing. But people will be going through the test or going through life like they don't value nothing. Every situation can teach you something at any given capacity. But what that requires is for you to break what you thought that you were going to be doing, snap yourself away from it, or you may have to break your entire self. Not literally, I'm not trying to tell you to hurt yourself, but you may have to figuratively break yourself down in order to construct yourself into a better mode, into a better position, and get yourself into spaces and places that you thought that you would never be able to get into, because your thoughts are going to drive you. Because again, there are three ways that you're going to be thinking. It's something that somebody has shown you, somebody has told you something, or you've constructed it yourself. So if you're somebody that's self-constructed and you're kind of hiding yourself away, you may be missing pieces in life that people can give to you, but you're not willing to reach out. You're not willing to embrace that because you don't feel like you need to be broken down, because you feel like if you go around people and you're broken, or you break down in front of people, that they're going to look at you differently. But the problem is, when somebody is in need, people that are going to be there to help are there to help, not harm. But the problem is, people may view that their supports are actually having a malicious lens. People may view that their own occupation or profession, such as being a social worker, is going to tear you down. You may be comparing yourself to a coworker, and if your coworker is comparing you to them, you need to cut ties with the lies that they're living in. But if you're comparing yourself to who you thought that you would be, and you're comparing yourself to somebody that's not doing the same things that you're doing, then you have to really identify, what are the things I have to break away from, and what are the things that I have to go through that may not be pleasurable or may not be what I thought that they would be, but that are going to take me to the spaces and places that I never thought that I was going to be able to get to. Because in order for you to experience something, you must experience it at some capacity. That's why I said people that pass their exams, they didn't just go in thinking that they could do it, but what they thought is, I have an equal chance of failing versus passing, but I will always fail myself if I do not authentically do what I think is right. So that's why I'm telling you, you have to break into a different situation, and I'm not telling you to do it maliciously, but you may have to identify incremental progress. So you may have went into the exam, and you may have not passed the doggone exam, but you notice you weren't as anxious. You notice that you were able to break the questions down. You notice that you were more comfortable. You notice that you weren't about to have a heart attack. You notice all these different things, and the person that's like, man, I didn't pass the test, but I have all these different things that I know that I can change, and they go into the next exam with those lessons on their mind, they're in a better position than the person that's like, yep, I'm going to blow up the entire house and then rebuild it. Because oftentimes we don't have to just destroy everything in order to make adaptations. We just have to let go of what we thought that we needed and make room for the spaces and places that we actually need to fit into our situation. Because think about a holiday dinner. Like, you're not getting all the food that everybody makes. You may want people to think that you like their food, and you may like it, but you only have so much room in you. You only have so much room in your mind. You almost have so much time to dedicate, so don't dedicate it to things that are not actually serving you any longer. So that's where, again, break away from situations that are no longer serving you. Break away from people that are no longer pouring into you. Break away from a situation that's no longer making you want to be the person that you want to be. So that's why I said most social workers are trying to escape this situation, because the situation that they're in is not what they thought it would be, or they've outgrown their situation, but it's too difficult, or they're too afraid to take a risk and bet on themselves, that they're always going to say, if I had this, then I would be better. But the problem is, the only right moment is the moment right now that you make for yourself. And again, I'm not telling somebody to make a risky move, but what I'm telling you is the best thing that you can take a bet on your life in is yourself. The best thing that you can invest in is yourself. The best thing that you can give time to is yourself. The best thing that you can be positive to is yourself. But as a social worker, we're like pouring it out like we're a gas station, and we ain't ever pouring back into ourselves. Because again, we can't put gas back into the gas pump, but what we can do is get around people that are willing to gas us up like we're gassing them up, and we can drive and have that stride behind us and believe that we can actually get into a better situation. Which then leads me to my next point, is embrace yourself. You have to be willing to look at yourself and say positive things. You have to be willing to look at yourself and say, I'm the most gifted and talented person that could possibly be me, not best possible person and gifted and talented person on the planet, because we're not coming from that egotistical lens. But catch what I said, you have to be the best possible version, and you're the most gifted and talented person that could be you, because you're the only person that knows how you operate. You're the only person that knows what you need. You're the only person that is going to be able to prioritize yourself over everything on this planet. But at the end of the day, if you're looking at yourself and you're degrading yourself, you're looking at yourself and saying somebody's better at being you than you're actually being you, you're trying to be somebody else, or you're doing all these different things. You take a brace apart and you look at race, you're racing against somebody else, and you need to be looking at yourself and saying, what race do I need to run? What are the goals that I want? What are the things that I need to go through that other people may not be able to go through, but that I'm going to be able to embrace and do everything that everyone else needs for me around me? Because that's why I said you're the only person that's uniquely gifted and talented to be you, because you have a mission, you have a purpose, you have a story that can impact other people that other people don't have, and they can't use it, and they can't embrace who you are, and they can share things about you, but they don't have the passion and strive behind the things that you're doing. So you got to really deep down embrace yourself and say, man, I love myself so much that I'm willing to sacrifice everything that I need to pour back into myself. I'm willing to let go of what other people think. I'm willing to dedicate everything that I need to in order to make sure that I'm better and the people around me are better. I'm willing to do everything that I think is right, even if other people have an opinion, even if other people are going to shame me, even if other people don't want to support me, if other people don't think what I'm doing is right, because at the end of the day, your mission is only what you think is going on. And if you look at mission, you separate that out. And if you're not going on your mission, you're missing out on what you need to be doing at this given moment. Because other people may have an opinion. Other people may tell you what you should be doing. Other people may be doing all these different things, but you only know what you need. You're the only person that knows exactly the template that you need to be following. You're the only person that can create the blueprint. You're the only person that can make the right decision for yourself. You're the only person that can dedicate everything that they need to at this given moment. Because you're the only person that can make a decision today to make something different in your life. You can have somebody telling you that you should be doing it, but if you don't have the motivation, or if you don't have the drive, or if you don't have the vision to make that thing happen, it doesn't matter what people say around you. You have to be willing to take yourself to that moment and say, I'm going to embrace myself to the end of the day. I'm going to embrace myself every single day. I may not do the right things. I may not be where I want to be, but I will not degrade myself and tell myself I need to be doing something different unless I actually feel like I need to be doing that. And that's what I'm telling people is, again, in order to get from where you're at right now, you have to recognize where you're at, have a breakthrough. But in order to have that breakthrough and identify who you are, you must embrace yourself and identify what are you doing at this given moment? What are you needing at this moment? And what are the things in your life that you're putting up against that you should be letting into your situation? Because again, if you're bracing for impact and saying, you know what, I need to defend myself and let no one else in my situation, you may be guarding yourself away from what you actually need. You may be blocking a blessing that you don't know that you actually are getting at this given moment. You may be blocking and not connecting with somebody that you should be connecting with, because they can take you to a space and place that you don't know, because you don't have that deep enough relationship. But at the end of the day, if you don't embrace yourself, prioritize yourself, and think that you're worth anything at this given moment, you're never going to be able to make it to that point. You may be successful, but deep down, you don't think that you deserve anything that you have. Deep down, you may not think that you deserve, or you may feel like you're an imposter, that somebody's going to call you out and say, man, get away from us because you're not actually X, Y, and Z. But you have to tell yourself that you went through what you went through and that you deserve everything that you have, because you're the only person that made the sacrifices in order for you to get there. That doesn't mean people in your life didn't help you, but at the end of the day, you're the only person that has to live the consequences of your actions. But if you don't actually identify that you're capable of being in those situations, you're never going to think that anything that you do is valuable. So you have to start identifying and find the lessons and blessings and beauties in all those different acts that you're doing. So the incremental progress over time, I'd rather have you do 1% every single day and be 100% better in 100 days for you to do nothing and then intermittently do it and then feel like you make no progress. So again, 1% or even 0.5% over 200 days is 100% different. Or even if you want to go a quarter, you have to amplify it a little bit further. But identifying that you make those decisions, and if you make 0.25, because you want to say a quarter, all right, Phil, I can change a quarter every single day. We got 400 days to make 100% change. That's 1 year and you're into the next different situation. But don't let that one day take you out. Don't say like, you know what, I wanted to do 400 days. I only did 395 because 395 is still a better position and situation than you would have been in if you didn't start at all. Because there are people that are telling you what you should be doing and they ain't willing to take a shot on themselves. There are people that are telling you and they have opinion. They're shouting from the top of the rooftop, but guess what? They're telling you things that they're afraid of because they're not willing to pull the trigger and do what they need to do with them for their situation. So you got to embrace yourself, what you think, what you know, and all those different things, because at the end of the day, you got to dig deep and identify what do you want to do and where do you want to go, but you have to upgrade where you're going and who is around you and repping and rocking with you, because you can be way more powerful if you have people in your situation that are pouring into you versus people that are taking from you, and identifying different ways that you're not supposed to be there. Because if you are having people around you that are saying positive things about you, but deep down you're saying, I can't do this, I'm going to fail, I'm never going to be good enough, all these people are going to leave me if I fail and all these different things, well, guess what? You have a hole in the bottom of the pool, and it may not seep out immediately, but over time, people are going to be looking at it and saying, man, what's wrong? We're trying to help you as much as we can, but what you keep doing is cutting a hole in your situation and saying, you know what? I'm never going to be whole, when you already identified that you cut the hole in your situation. So again, mend what you need to, break away from those old situations, go through what you need to go through in order to get to where you want to go, but you have to embrace yourself and identify what you need, which then leads me to my next point is you have to prove nothing to no one else but yourself. You're the only person that is going to be the critic that you need to have in your corner. And what I mean by that is, in order to have critic, take that away, and you have to critique and identify what are ways that you can be a better person and situation, but you get to create the own rubric that you want to identify. Because again, if other people are like, man, you should be doing more, man, I thought X, Y, and Z, it's like, man, you have thoughts and different feelings in different situations, but I'm the person that's creating the rubric, and I'm the person that's putting one foot in front of the other in order to identify where I actually want to go. But in order for you to actually embrace your journey, you must value what you think. So again, you have to prove nothing to no one else but yourself. So again, you have to create incremental goals. Again, you might have failed the exam, you might not have been successful, but it's easy for the people that are on the sidelines to try to tell you what to do, but it's difficult for you to give yourself the credit and say, I didn't get the result that I wanted, but what was the process that I took and what was the growth that I made within that situation? Because as long as you can look yourself in the face and say, I'm proud of what I did, I'm giving everything that I got, I'm making the impact that I possibly can, it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks, because again, your crowd is going to crowd around you and support you regardless of the result that you want. That's why I always tell people the process is more important than the result, because the result is going to be what it's going to be. The process that you took to get there, because you might have passed the exam, but you're beating up on yourself and tearing yourself down and never giving yourself credit, but it's the person that can over and 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 be consistent with them for their situation that is willing to identify that I'm doing everything that I need to. It's the person that can celebrate themselves regardless of the result that is in a better situation. I've had people say, man, Phil, I scheduled the dinner. If I passed the test, I was going to celebrate. I'm like, you should celebrate anyway. I don't care if you failed the exam. Celebrate. You have another heartbeat in your chest. You have another reason. You have a different thing that you need to be doing, because again, as long as you have a reason, you can identify why you want to keep going. But that's the problem, is if people are looking for the external validation or people to affirm them or confirm them, they don't have any control over their life, because it doesn't matter what happens. If somebody has something negative to say about it, you're always willing to give up and throw your hands in there and say it wasn't significant, but it wasn't significant to that person, but it doesn't mean that it wasn't significant in general. There may be people that say, man, that was the sweetest thing I've ever seen, or man, that was the best thing ever, or man, that really changed my life. But if you don't show it to the right people, you're not going to get the impact and be shown that what you're doing is actually paying off. So again, don't escape away from what people are telling you. Embrace what they're saying, but embrace yourself more and say, as long as I'm giving myself and living the life that I want to, I don't care what anybody else has to say. I don't care what anyone else is telling me that I should be doing, because I'm going to do the next right thing for myself. That's why I always say, don't let one thought, one situation, one person, or anything take you outside of what you know to be true, because you don't have to prove nothing to nobody. Because at the end of the day, if people are just around you when you're getting results, what do you think is going to happen when you're not living the life that they want you to? They're probably going to leave you and say, you know what, you should be doing X, Y, and Z. But again, once that person leaves the situation, You're going to be trying to look for somebody else to tell you what you should be doing when you should already know what your purpose and reason to go through the different seasons that you're going through should be. Because again, have an identity and have a why for why you're doing it. But I'll also say it doesn't matter what everyone else thinks. It matters what I think. It matters what I want to do. It matters what I need to be doing for myself. It doesn't matter what somebody else says. It doesn't matter what your coworker says, your supervisor, or anybody in this planet. Because at the end of the day, you're the only person that is going to have the same goals that you have. They may want to get to the same destination, but the reason for why they want to do it may be different. You may be wanting to make an impact on a certain population. You may have a lived experience that brought you to this point, but if you don't speak your truth, nobody's going to know the truth. But if you're living a lie, you're starting to lie to yourself and you're just lying down and letting people tell you what you need to be doing. But when you start living a lie, you start cutting ties with who you actually were, and you're tying yourself to other people that don't have the same reason, motivation, energy, and passion that you have to get to where you want to go. So that's what I'm saying. You don't have anything to prove to anybody. Prove nothing but something to yourself. And as long as you can look yourself in the face and say, I'm gifted, I'm talented, I'm worthy, and I'm doing everything that I need to be doing, I don't care what anybody else says. That's what I'm telling you is you got to start living your truth, not what somebody else is doing. Somebody else may be doing something cool, but guess what? You're still cool in your own right. You're cool because you're doing everything that you told yourself that you were going to do. You don't need everyone else to affirm you and confirm you. As long as you're living the life that you want to and making the impact on whatever person or situation or anything that you want, you're still living. You're still dreaming. You're still successful. It may not be in the timeline that you want it to, but guess what? You got more time than you think. We can't look at the watch and say, you know what, how much time does Phil have left on this planet? But I can look at it and say every day that I did, every second that I lived, every time that goes by, I gave everything that I can and did everything that I could. Because again, over time, you need to upgrade what you want to do and where you're coming from. But if you never do that, you're never going to identify what you actually are doing is significant. So that's what I'm telling you. Have your breakthrough, but identify why you want to do this. Have a reason for why you're doing it. Have a why. Have a different motive than I just want X, Y, and Z result. Because the X, Y, and Z result doesn't lead to anything. It may be helpful of like, woo, I got this, but what does having that mean to you? Because a lot of times people get something, but after they get it, it's like they didn't ever want it anyway. It's like, you know what? I have this thing. I'm going to embrace it for a couple of days, maybe a week. But if people aren't giving me affirmation or credit for what I got, it doesn't mean anything to me. But if you earn something and you mean what you say and tell the truth to yourself of why you want it, it doesn't matter what somebody else says. That's why when people say like, man, what does passing the exam mean to you, Phil? It meant everything to me. It was a way for me to improve my life. It was a way for me to improve my family's life. It was a way for me to prove to people that may not feel good enough or talented enough or gifted enough or don't learn in the same way that everyone else does, that they can still get to where they want to go. Because I don't come from the best situation, but I also am reminding myself that what I'm doing isn't just for me, it's for everyone else around me that may not believe in themselves. Because again, I may do something and say, man, that kind of sucked, but people say, man, that was great. But I'm telling myself that it sucks because I have a vision of where I thought it should go, but I have to reset and break away from that and go through what I'm going through, embrace what I'm doing, embrace who I am and say, you know what? You had the genuine lens that you had from the beginning. So you got to keep repping and rocking with yourself. But I don't have to prove anything to anybody but myself. And again, if I have a vision that I didn't meet, I have to embrace and say, you know what? At least you're in a situation that you never thought that you would be in. And your vision may be able to occur or may happen. It may just be on a different timeline. So don't lose faith. Don't lose anything, but embrace and gain everything that you can. Because you have to do something again, break the word apart. You have the word a gain. You gain something from having to do something a subsequent time or doing it over and over and over and over and over. Because in order to have experience, you must experience something at some capacity. But at the end of the day, if you don't recognize what you have, you'll never find value in that. That's what gratitude is. In order to be grateful for something, you must identify that you have it or notice that an opportunity was something that was unique, that you may be taking for granted, but that somebody else may be looking at and saying, I wish that I had that. So if you haven't done it lately, identify what are things that you're grateful for. What are some things that you find valuable that maybe people in your life told you that weren't valuable, but don't lose faith in what you have, because at the end of the day, if you have a belief, you have a like, or you have an interest, embrace it, because if your time clock ends, you'll have a lot of regret and resentment that you didn't become the best possible version that you possibly could or become who you could possibly be. So that's my push. Have a breakthrough, break away from the things that you may not be aligned with anymore or people that aren't pouring back into you, but also go through what you're going through. Don't let any negativity. Don't let anything that you view as a failure, don't let anything that you're not meeting take you away from what you actually need at this given moment. But also embrace yourself throughout the process. Don't beat yourself up. Don't degrade yourself. Don't drag yourself down. Because if you don't have faith in yourself, nobody else can have faith in you. But you also need to be faithful over few. So if you don't have as many things as you want, you're going to have everything that you have, because you have to make room, because your gift will always make room for you. But you also need to identify that you don't have to prove anything to anybody but yourself. So have those goals, have those celebratory moments with yourself, embrace yourself, identify, but also be grateful for what you have. And like I always say, from the bottom of my heart, I appreciate every single one of you guys. Take care, be safe, keep building yourself up. Hopefully you guys had a nice holiday. Hopefully you're embracing who you are. Hopefully you're embracing your family. Hopefully that you're holding the people that you care to tight, because again, you never know when things are not going to go well. You never know when things are going to end. So again, embrace every moment like it's your last. Live every moment and leave nothing on the table but everything that you particularly want to do, because at the end of the day, you have to do everything that you want for yourself and do and live the life that you want to see for yourself. From the bottom of my heart, I appreciate every single one of you guys. I love you guys. You need anything, send me an email at berda24@gmail.com. Take care, be safe. Hope to see you in the Sunday study groups, the one-day course, individual tutoring, or the free study groups, or anything. Keep building yourself up. Do not let one thought, one situation, one person take you outside of what you know to be true. I'm getting the heck out of here, guys. Hopefully that was helpful for at least one person. And I'll see you guys in the next one. In peace out, guys.